Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You already know it's your boy Garland. Oh, wait a second, that's not my intro. Shout out to Nova. Alright, guys, what's going on? It's Garland here bringing you another Neverwinter video. And today we're going to be talking about an upcoming change that maybe you guys are aware of, or maybe you're not aware of. And that is involving the legacy sets. It has been, excuse me, it has been announced and confirmed that they are indeed removing the legacy sets, set bonuses out of the game. Basically, what that means is all of the armor from Module 5 is being removed. Like I said, the set bonus themselves are going to be removed. Maybe some of you guys aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, especially you new users on PS4. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Back in Mod 5, the top end armor in the game, there was actually armor for each class of the game. And with each armor came a set bonus specific for that class. And the biggest kicker with these is that they were bind on equip. So you were able to farm them and sell them. Well, back then that wasn't a big deal, and there was a plethora of them. I mean, they were everywhere. They didn't sell for very much. The problem lies in with they were never adjusted or removed mods down the road. I mean, we have Mod 10 up and coming for the console. Mod 10 has already been released on PC, so we're talking about 5 mods that these set pieces were basically best in slot for the longest time. And there is some issues with this. There's a gigantic Reddit post about this, which I will link in the description of this video if you guys want to go and take a look and see what the conversation is. There's also a post on the official message board. It's pages and pages and pages long. I will try to link that post as well in the description. But basically these armor sets, like I said, had specific set bonuses for each and every class. Now the 3 primary classes that I want to talk about today are the Guardian Fighter, the Cleric, and the Control Wizard, as these 3 sets specifically were and still are pretty much just overpowered. They really are. Now there is 2 sides to this story. The community is kind of split. I wouldn't say in half. I would actually say that about 80% of the population is happy about this change. And I'd say probably about 20% of the community is not so happy about this change. I'm trying to stay in between. I do have opinions on both, and I can see both sides of the story. And unfortunately, 100% of the blame is going to be on the company. Cryptic, yet again, I've mentioned in a previous video that I don't know what you guys are doing over there as far as the company goes, as far as development goes. I've played a lot of MMOs. This game just, it doesn't make sense to me. So let's kind of go over that. So basically the 3 armors that we're going to talk about are the High Vizier, which is the Control Wizard set. Basically, if you're wearing this set, you have a 30% damage increase buff to your entire party. So it's 30% DPS increase. Now let's talk about the Guard Captain. I believe that's what it's called? Knight Captains. Knight Captains is for the Guardian Fighter. I'm not 100% sure what the bonus is on. I think it's a 15% bonus increase. And then finally the High Prophet, which is for the Cleric, and that is, I believe, a 30% debuff. And of course, these all stack. They all stack with everything. They actually stack with multiple sets as well. So if you have 2 High Prophet Clerics in your party, you get a 60% increase. On top of everything that's already wrong with the game, you can see the problems within the game. That's why people were crushing dungeons the way that they are crushing dungeons, is because the dungeons aren't adequately made to handle those kinds of buffs and debuffs. So this is one of the problems that I'm going to try to address right now as far as the company aspect goes. So this set came out, the sets came out in Mod 5. Well, that was a very long time ago. My question number one is, why weren't these sets either adjusted, removed, or outdated a few mods down the road? Maybe not Mod 6, but by Mod 7, definitely Mod 8. How are these things still a factor in the way the game is being played and developed? So there's a couple solutions, and they're going with the lazy way out, as I would like to put it. Basically, is they're just removing the set bonus altogether, which I kind of agree with. As far as where we're at currently in the game, there's nothing you can really do to change the fact of the matter now. If they would have appropriately developed the game, what would have happened, what should have happened, is that those set bonuses should have been outdated as the game progressed. And along with the game, the content itself should have actually balanced out to see the new armor, so to speak. So, like, let's just say, for instance, for Dragonflight, let's look at our Dragonflight right now, which is currently best in slot, in my opinion, currently best in slot. There is Masterwork, which we will talk about that as well. So if we look at the Elemental Dragonflight, which is item level 142, it does have significant statistical increases compared to that Mod 5 gear. However, the set bonus on Mod 5 just destroys any statistical bonus that you're going to get. So Mod 5 armor, if you're using it, you have a lot more decreased stats, but you're still a high asset to your group just because of the set bonus itself. So let's take a look at the set bonus on our wonderful best items in the game, best armor in the game, Dragonflight set. Let's scroll down. Okay, 2 sets. You have to have 2 pieces of Dragonflight. Wow, you gain a whole 2,000 HP. That's amazing. So now if you equip 3 pieces of Dragonflight, you get additional 500 power. Okay, those are atrocious. Okay, let's be honest here. For being the best armor in the game, and I don't want to say it's easy to get this armor, it's easy for certain players to get this armor. If you're in a casual guild, you might be able to do the event to even do Dragonflight, but you're not doing it adequately enough that you're farming it where you're going to get Dragonflight. You know, it's going to take your guild months and months and months to accumulate enough Dragon Fangs to even get a full set of armor. And then what do they give us? We get this wonderful bonus of 2k HP and 500 power. So you can kind of see where I'm hitting toward where the actual problem lies, is that this Dragonflight armor should have a set bonus on it 20 times better than what it actually has. Now, I'm not saying it has to compete with that Mod 5 set, but it definitely needs to be better. That's how you progress a game. No one's going to want subpar armor, which herein lies also with the content itself. So the content needs to be harder, than the armor per se. If you look at our top end Endgame right now, as far as we have on console right now, we don't have Mod 10 yet. It's coming in a couple weeks. But right now we have Castle Never, Tiamat is still up there, and of course Dragonflight. Those would be the 3 top end Endgame material, and they're all a pushover, to be honest. As far as hardcore players go, we destroy that content. That content is irrelevant. It takes us insignificant time to do those dungeons. Like, I have a video on my channel of us doing Dragonflight in under a minute. It was 50 seconds and we destroyed it. Like, there's no point in that content. It's not fun. It's not fun for anyone. But it's necessary to progress in the game. But that's just, like I said, a select few people that are capable of doing that. The casual people, might still be struggling with Castle Never. Like, if you actually do a pug group and you get Castle Never, sometimes you might not even complete it, just because people aren't adequately equipped or whatever. But that's irrelevant. I'm talking about how the dungeons should actually be scaled, and that's a problem, especially now that we're talking about dungeons. Let's move on to the newest dungeon, which is in Mod 10, and that's Fangbreaker's Island. Supposedly the hardest dungeon that they have developed so far. It does have a 3100 item level requirement, but more than likely you're going to be needing at least 3800 4K plus, max level to complete it. Now I've been talking to a lot of PC players. I've been seeing a lot of feedback, and basically the dungeons, it's not hard. Okay, not for us hardcore endgame players. The dungeon is simply not hard. Most people were already doing Fangbreakers in 25 minute runs. Some people were doing it in even less, like 15, 16 minutes. I believe the best run right now is like 14 minutes and some odd seconds, which is basically the same time it takes to do Castle Never. Even with an OP group, you can fly through Castle Never in 12, 13, 14 minutes. Now that, like I said, this is Fangbreaker Island, it does have different game mechanics, and it was made differently as the game developers wanted the bosses to last longer so the game mechanics can actually kick in and you do have to strategize. However, apparently it's not working because people are still going in there and slaughtering everything. And the funny part is that some of these people aren't even using this so-called OP Mod 5 armor. Some of them are, but it's already been proven that they don't need it to actually accomplish these feats in the time frame. So, like I said, this is all a problem. This is all coming back on the total game development and the progression of the game for the past year or so. I don't understand why Mod 5 armor was scaled so high in the first place and how long it was live for. So do I agree that the Mod 5 armor set bonuses should be taken out of the game? Yes and no. Like I said, I have made several points that the armor does stack with everything. It is almost an unfair advantage, but at the same time it really isn't, because we're still able to do the content with or without that set bonus. My biggest problem is that those people that are just buying their sets now, of actually finding someone from back then that played that had a set that wasn't bound yet, or those people that just had a couple pieces and they had to put the pieces together and acquire a full set. They were paying like 30 million, upwards of 40 million AD to get these sets. And now it's completely worthless. They literally just threw all that AD away. That really, really sucks. Those people are most likely going to quit the game. They're going to be so upset and distraught that they're probably just going to quit the game. And I know as far as a company aspect, Cryptic isn't going to care, because that's like 0.1% of the total population to begin with. Because you have to keep in mind, especially on console, it's very, very hard to even locate those sets to begin with. There's probably, I would say, actively 30 people on Xbox at least that probably has high profit, and that's probably a high number. It might even be less than that. So, like I said, I'm kind of torn in between. Yes, it kind of does need removed, but at the same time, I want to say no, it kind of doesn't, just because, like I said, it's not really game breaking. Like, my biggest issue right now is that there are so many broken things in this game that need addressed that you shouldn't be worrying about this armor right now. The game content itself alone needs worked on, especially if you want this game to survive. In one of my previous videos, I've talked briefly about this, about the life expectancy of Neverwinter. The way it's sitting right now is, it's not looking too good, to be honest. I mean, the game might still keep going, but your active user base, yeah, that's not going to be around. Because I can see the game development. If it does continue on the path that it's going right now, people are just going to not be interested in it anymore. It's simple as that. We basically get a new mod update every, X amount of months, which we sit around and wait for, and then the new updates are basically rehashed and recycled content that we've already had. It's nothing new. Just for instance, the new armor that's coming, that's supposed to replace Dragonflight. The new armor that's supposed to replace Dragonflight is called the Relic Gear. It's going to be, I think, item level 150. It's going to have slightly increased statistics, a little bit better than the Dragonflight. However, go figure, they threw in that you have to infuse it. Now, I haven't talked about this yet. I was going to talk about it closer to Mod 10 release time. But for this video purpose, we're going to talk about the armor just for a little bit. So the armor, you have to infuse it with Void Blood or whatever it's called. I like just calling it Void Blood. I don't know why they just made it Void Blood, but I think it's a Void Blood or something. Well, anyway, you have to infuse your armor with this to get to the top tier, and it only has a 2-hour active time. So after 2 hours, you have to infuse your armor again over and over and over again. You can see the process. Well, they've tried this once before. It was called Black Ice, and it didn't work. No one wanted to do it. It was just garbage. Now, it's already been suggested, and one fix that can maybe turn this mod around and maybe the entire game around is simply increase the active timer on the armor. There's no reason that the armor shouldn't last 6 hours, 8 hours. You have to make the content worth the while for the player, otherwise the player's not going to play the game anymore. It's simple logic. It's just simple. Maybe you don't even have to make it that outrageous as 8 hours. Like I said, 6 hours is perfectly fine, because from what I'm hearing is that if a casual player even succeeds in doing Fangbreaker, it's going to take that group of players over an hour just to complete the dungeon if they can't complete it. Well, guess what? There goes their entire armor, you know? An hour per dungeon run? And then they're going to have to spend another day farming all the resources to infuse all their armor again. How does that make sense? What fun is that? There is zero fun in running around a zone to farm a specific resource just to keep the best armor in the game up to date. That's just illogical. It makes no sense. And like I said, the easy fix is, and what should happen, and what I hope happens, otherwise I'm not going to be using that armor, is increase the active timer on it. It's as simple as that. Make the timer at least 6 hours, if not 8 hours per armor piece. It's not game breaking. I don't see any reason why that shouldn't happen. But anyway, I don't want to get too off topic. But the point is that, so even with that full new set of relic gear that's item level 150, people would still end up using the mod 5 gear, because the set bonuses on the 150 stuff isn't really any better. It's not good. The set bonuses are not good. You guys at Cryptic need to develop bonuses for the armor that make sense and they're worthwhile. Otherwise, no one's going to get the armor. No one's going to want the armor, because just by the statistics alone, they go up by like 100 or like 200 or something. It's nothing outrageous. It's nothing like an endgame player like me would be worried about. So yes, there is, like I said, a huge discussion right now. It is official. It is announced in the mid-module update for Mod 10. We'll call it 10.5. The Mod 5 set bonuses are finally getting removed out of the game. Like I said, I don't know why it's taken this long. I believe one of the developers did make a statement on it and says it was something along the lines, well, we didn't want to remove it because we knew it would make people angry or something, blah, blah, blah. Well, no kidding. Well, now you're to the point where you've waited so long that people not only are mad, but now it just kind of sucks. Like I said, especially sucks for those people that have just gotten their sets within the past month and paid ridiculous amounts of money. I'm not saying that's right either. Like, the people that charged that much money, they knew that set was, worth what it was. But now, for those people that did spend that money, that sucks. It completely sucks. I honestly do feel bad for those people that blew like 40 million AD for a set of armor now that is completely obsolete, when that armor should have been obsolete like 3 mods ago. Anyway, I don't want to turn this video into another rant video. We all know what happens when I make a rant video. Everyone, takes it personally, apparently, because it's the internet, so everyone gets their internet feelings hurt. like I said, I don't want to take sides in the matter overall. Like I said, I can see why they want to take it out because it does stack. But at the same time, like I've mentioned before, there are many, many, many more issues in this game currently that need addressed. And I know there is a new lead developer. I think Floss is on board now. And hopefully he does make changes for the better. But like, just for instance, the Chromatic Storm token, the artifact. Dude, guys, like seriously. What are you doing, Cryptic? What are you guys doing over there in the development department? I mean, do you want to hire me? You want me to come over and do some coding for you? Because there's no reason a artifact in the game should have a 400% debuff on it. Like, how does that even happen? I don't understand. And like I said, I'm not calling you guys out. I mean, I know what it takes to make a game and develop a game, and I know how hard it is, and I know you guys are short-staffed. But if you want the longevity of this game, the life cycle of this game to continue without losing your player base, you guys need to sit down and have a little powwow and discuss what you guys are bringing to the table, because this rehashed nonsense is not going to work for very long. Like I said, and let's talk about the rewards from Fangbreaker Island. I've talked to numerous PC players. I've watched some streams of them doing Fangbreaker Island, and the rewards are a joke. That was my number one concern when Mod 10 was first announced, that they were bringing a new T3 dungeon, the first T3 dungeon into the game, and they were claiming that it was going to be the hardest dungeon ever. I immediately said, the rewards better be worth the risk. Okay? If I'm going to spend an hour in a dungeon, I better get something out of that dungeon. I'm not saying every time, but I mean, we all know this entire game is built on the RNG loot system, which is atrocious. The RNG loot system is by far the worst loot system in any MMO you can possibly have, and that's the loot system they use in this game. However, time is money. Okay, if I'm going to spend an hour or more in a dungeon, I expect to get something out of it. And that's not the case. Apparently, Flawless Sapphires just drop nonstop in the end chest. That's all I've seen. I've seen a few of the new rings being pulled. That's nothing exciting. I've seen a few pieces of the new relic gear being pulled. Whoop-de-freaking-do. What you guys should have did is added some kind of new reward system where even if you complete the dungeon, which is the hardest dungeon in the game supposedly, if you complete the dungeon, then you get X amount of some kind of currency, and eventually when you accumulate X amount of said currency, you'd be able to turn it in for, rewards, or for the new relic pieces, or for whatever the case may be. You see where I'm going. That way is you're still rewarding your player base. If they finish the dungeon, you still get rewarded no matter what. And if you do it enough times, you get your overall reward. That's a good system. Going into a dungeon and farming it 500 times and maybe pulling one drop is bullshit. That is not fun. That's called grinding. Grinding. And I don't have a problem grinding, okay? I played EverQuest back in the day. Trust me, I've done my fair share of grinding. I've farmed some camps in EverQuest for 16 hours straight before hoping for a drop. But that's a little different than RNG. RNG is 100% luck. At least in EverQuest, I knew that item would drop eventually. I can do 1,000 dungeon runs in Neverwinter and still not see an item drop. For instance, I've run Castle Never more times than I can count, and I have yet to pull the Orcus shard from CN yet. Hasn't happened, and I've ran it, like I said, more times than I want to even imagine to count. Okay, we're getting way off topic. Anyway, back to, like I said, the Mod 5 sets. They do stack with everything. They are semi-overpowered. However, there is such few left. They're so select in the group of people that actually have them. Is it honestly that really big of a deal? I mean, the overall player base, there's some players out there that are douchebags and will boot people out of pug groups just because they aren't a high profit cleric. Well, you're never going to be able to control that. I mean, even if you take the items out, once a douchebag is always a douchebag. If people are that petty and will only run with a clerk just because they have the high profit, well, then that's just a disgrace. That shouldn't happen anytime with any item, but that's beside the point. The point being is that these select armors really weren't game breaking to begin with, just because, like I said, there's such a small population that actually still has them in the game overall. And like I said, there are countless more issues in the game that definitely need addressed before something like this was even mentioned. But that's not my job. That's your guys' job, as being the company and being the game developers. You need to figure that out, I guess. But I really hope that the new lead designer does take the reins and make Neverwinter better overall. Like I said, I still love this game. I'm still actively playing this game, and I'm still putting up with the nonsense. But eventually, you're going to push me to the point where it's not going to happen anymore. Eventually, a new game will come out that's going to pique my interest enough, and I'm going to migrate just as well as all your other players. It happens. The only way to keep your player base is to keep your content fresh, active, and so far, come on, guys. It's a little subpar. Like I said, Mod 10 is basically a rehash of the whole Black Ice. The dungeons alone have numerous flaws. So, like I said, I don't know what to say. Like I said, I'm torn in between answers. Do I agree with the Mod 5 set bonuses being removed? I can't 100% go either way. Like, I see from the developer aspect why they're doing it, but at the same time, I just don't understand how this issue wasn't resolved a year ago. Okay, like I said, the game needs to flow forward. Like I said, I mean, just pisses me off. This Dragonflight gear is an absolute joke. Oh, and okay, so we didn't even get to the Masterwork stuff. So the Masterwork stuff, I believe, doesn't even have a set bonus on it. I don't even think the Masterwork armor has any set bonus on it. And the Masterwork stuff is so hard to get, okay? The average player is never going to finish Masterwork. It costs so much AD and so time-consuming to do. And for what? The Mod 10 armor is supposedly going to be better than the Masterwork stuff. So you already have the Masterwork stuff that most likely is going to be obsolete. Now, I can't say for 100%, obviously, because I don't work for Cryptic. I don't know if they're going to maybe upgrade the Masterwork stuff, like Masterwork 2.0 stuff, where you'll be able to take your Masterwork gear and then actually upgrade the Masterwork gear itself. That is something that they should definitely look into and consider, just because how many players have completed their Masterwork stuff, spent tens of millions of AD getting their Masterwork complete, and now you're going to have another obsolete armor piece, and it's going to be pointless. So it's just food for thought. Like, I just wanted to bring some discussions. This isn't a rant. This isn't a rage video like my Beholder one, okay? I just wanted to make this video because I do like to feel like I'm a part of the community. I do have a say in things, even though there's some, I don't want to bring it up again, but, I was banned on Reddit, so that sucked, but it happened. So I wasn't actually able to partake in the conversation on Reddit, and I kind of stayed away from the conversation on the official message boards. It's not my cup of tea. I like making videos. That's what I do. So hopefully someone at Cryptic does see this video. Hopefully they give it some food for thought. If anyone from Cryptic wants to contact me and personally talk to me, by all means feel free. I will make myself available to talk to Aster or any one of you guys. I think that's going to be about it, guys. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. I don't think there's really much to go. Like I said, all the links will be in the description. I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. I get so much feedback. I really enjoy it. I try to answer everyone's comments. By the way, if you want to chime in this discussion, always feel free to comment, and like I said, I will try to reply to everyone. I would love to see you guys' feedback on this. Is it a big deal? Are people blowing it out of proportion? Do you agree with some of my points about how the game should have been scaled throughout the past year. Am I completely wrong? Maybe I'm just an idiot, whatever. Maybe I'm just dumb. I don't think I am. I kind of know what I'm talking about. But hey, if you want to leave feedback, it says that I'm always open to open criticism. I'm not a little fucking teenager on the internet. I'm not going to cry. You're not going to hurt my internet feelings. Trust me. That select group people that I mentioned in one of my previous videos has tried to make me cry, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's what their goal was. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what the hell their goal was, but they failed miserably. I'm a grown-ass man, so whatever, guys. That's going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys Friday. I think I'm going to do another duo video, not with Boopa. I think I'm going to do one with one of my guild leaders. I think we're going to try to duo Castle Never. Shouldn't be that hard, to be honest, but it's just something to do. I'm actually, another thing, if you guys want to leave a comment below on anything that you guys want to see as far as content goes, because I really don't have anything lined up until Mod 10 drops, and we're still a couple weeks away from that. So if you guys want to see anything in particular, let me know. As always, we'll see you later.